Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's TJ Jones. Welcome to Therapy Couch Podcast. I am your host, TJ Jones. Hope everybody's having a good day, night, evening, whenever you're checking out this podcast. Really do appreciate you stopping by. This is a podcast where we talk about life and all kind of other things in between. Shouts out to everybody that has subscribed to the Therapy Couch Podcast YouTube channel and also subscribe to the Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Really do appreciate that. It's a little bit different from those that probably have been introduced to me from me talking sports, talking about the New Orleans Saints. I decided to do this podcast because, we all have, things that we go through in life, right? We go through problems, we go through situations, and sometimes we need somewhere where we can actually cope. And sometimes it doesn't always come from family members where we can go, friends. You know how it is. Sometimes you got to keep those things bottled in, but this isn't what this show is about. It's about talking about the problems and also probably finding some solutions by the end of each show. I didn't do a show last week because I had COVID. I had COVID along with my wife and my son, and COVID sucks, man. Like if you ever had COVID or ever been sick with it, I mean, it's like the worst. It's funny because when you have it, it doesn't, you don't have like those symptoms sometimes, when you got a cough and what I'm saying, or some things going on which you kind of can figure it out. It's always a little something, right? So you wake up in the morning, you might have some muscle aches, you might wake up in the morning, then you have a fever, you might wake up again, and then you have to use the bathroom because diarrhea is a part of a side effect. It's never the same thing, and it makes you completely miserable, man. And the worst thing about it is because all of us had it. I mean, a good part about it was I was able to spend time with my family. I mean, it's not the way that I wanted to, but being in a house and being on quarantine, you had to, find things out and be able to, talk to one another. And, my wife, she works a lot. I do my thing. My son is at daycare. So we really don't have consecutive days where we can actually sit around and just do little things and try to, develop that family kingship that people need to have. But it was unfortunate, but I mean, I feel a lot better now. And but it was just funny because you know, I didn't have the strength to do some of the things that I wanted to do. I tried to be myself, but I still couldn't do it. Like I tried to one day, I thought that I kind of turned the corner and I tried to go out and cut some grass and cut down some weeds, man. I mean, within 5 minutes, I was like, man, I'm done with this. I'm done. Like I couldn't do it. Like I had to cut it out in the middle of it. So if you ever had COVID, you don't know what I'm talking about. But if you never had it, I'm telling you, it sucks. I also had a birthday, man. My birthday was Monday, which I couldn't even, believe. I didn't realize that my birthday was on a Monday because, I'm not really a big birthday person. And, my wife and I was talking about that because my whole entire birthday, man, I spent most of the day just kind of sleeping and chilling. And my wife, she kind of felt as if I was just doing it to kind of prove a point. She was like, I get it. You understand. You don't like your birthday. But I mean, I really don't really care about birthdays that much. I guess like when you start to get a certain age, like when you're young, like and you have a birthday, you're excited about it, right? You get to go out with your friends, you get to hang out, you get to talk to, what I'm saying, girls and stuff like that if you're on a single tip, and you get to enjoy your life. But once you start to get older and you start to have responsibilities, like it's completely different. And when you have birthdays, you start thinking about all of the things that you didn't do. And I found myself kind of being a little bit upset and down in the dumps a little bit because, birthday is supposed to be a celebratory day, but the only thing I can do is just think about the things that I didn't do and some of the milestones that I wanted to reach and I haven't already. And it's just a harsh reality. Like, man, you're a year older and you're getting close to certain milestones that you don't want to reach by not, what I'm saying, and not achieving those goals that you set out for yourself. So I guess it kind of made me feel a certain type of way, even though I never really been big on birthdays. like the whole celebration of you. You know, I see people like all the time. They'll be like, man, I'm gonna celebrate myself for the whole month, month, my birthday week. I just can't get down with that, man. You know, I appreciate all the love that I get, of course, when people reach out to me and say happy birthday, but it's not one of those big deals. You know what I'm saying? It's not one of those saying one of those things where I feel like people have to go above and beyond to do. I mean, it never just really been a big deal. But like I said, I found myself just kind of going through the motions and just thinking about some of the milestones and some of the things that I wanted to do and some of the things that I have not done. And it just certain things that you expect for yourself and from yourself when you reach a certain age. And I guess that was what most of my birthday consists of, me just thinking about those things. I mean, I'm appreciative of all the milestones and all the things that I've done. As far as wanted to set out to have a career in broadcasting, that's coming together. But it's still some things that I feel like I have not done. It's still some things that I wish that I could do. And when you start to get a little bit older and you start to have family, your family becomes the main priority. Uh, my birthday is on the 8th of August, and my wedding anniversary is the next day on August 9th. I was married a day after my birthday, and I found myself more excited about my wedding anniversary than I did about my actual birthday. It's probably because I get to share that with somebody. I get to share that with my wife. It's a day where we got married, and it's just something that she gets excited about. My wife is kind of reserved. She's kind of quiet. Well, saying kind of soft spoken, and it's not really many things that get her excited as much. But watching her, when the anniversary comes around, it's just a little bit of excitement that she gets, and she really tries to go out of her way to try to bring some, some excitement. Like yesterday, if you're looking at this on a Wednesday, on the night of on our anniversary, we had like a whole like paint sip where she actually got like some portraits and we painted them together. And it was something that, we never done. And I thought it was extremely exciting. And it's good to have a smile, that comes across her face. And I think that's the most important thing because, as long as my wife is okay and my son is okay, I'm fine. I don't really need the whole celebration of self. And, I just find myself just trying to be a better person for them. And if I feel like I'm not, then that's when I'm really kind of hard on myself. So I guess me turning 36 was a reflection of everything that I've done up to that point and some of the things that I wanted to do. And maybe I was just a little bit hard on myself. I mean, I know the goals that I want to have, I want to set for myself. But sometimes, it just feels like I'm kind of stuck in the blocks. There's some things that I've felt like I've achieved, but I still feel like I want to achieve so much more. And when I don't do it, I become extremely frustrated with myself. So hopefully, I can be able to kick out of that. And if anybody's kind of dealing with that, there are solutions to that, right? I know one thing is to not be so hard on myself, but sometimes it's easier said than done. When you want something so bad, when you want to pursue something so hard and it just seems like it's not happening, it just completely frustrates you and you completely shut down. And that's one of the main reasons why, I try to practice being on social media as much as as I once was on social media, because there was a time where, man, I would spend so much time on social media and I would be looking at what other people are doing and I would become so frustrated because I'm like, I know I work just as hard as that person. I know I grind just as hard as that person. Why does it seem like they are steps ahead of me, 3-4 steps ahead of me, and I feel like I'm still in the same position? But I then realized that a lot of the highlights and of people's lives, they post on social media. Like nobody is posting them on social media, what I'm saying, head wrapped all on their head, haven't brushed their teeth, haven't washed their face, crust in their eye. It's always like the highlight moments. It's always like a great moment, like you're just having the greatest time of your life. And you have other people out there that just look like they should be jealous or envious of your life. So I find myself trying to, kind of, plugging out of social media because, sometimes social media can get the best of you and you find yourself spending more time than you need to be on social media. And you find yourself taking on this level of depression and anxiety that social media entails. One thing that people, um, I was talking about this with my friends, and we were talking about social media, and we were asking a question or answering a question rather, like who had it hardest, our generation as kids growing up, or some of the modern day kids growing up. And I know sometimes, like if you're, becoming an OG like myself, sometimes we'll be like, man, these kids, they don't really have no problems, they don't really have no issues. But I had to think about it, man. In some ways, these kids, they deal with way more issues than we did, because sometimes the things that we were dealing with could be shielded, or it can be one of those situations where you might get the, the butt of everybody's jokes, but eventually it'll die down, right? But imagine having to have a constant reminder of your transgressions, your lowlights, right? People have pictures, people have video, people got social media, people can turn you into memes and all these different things that can remind you of the lowest points of your life, and people just playing that over and over again. And it could develop a level of anxiety. And if you don't know how to deal with those type of pressures, you can find yourself shivering in a corner. You can find yourself contemplating suicide. You can find yourself trying to, you find yourself trying to, uh, you know, get something to try to curb those type of urges and stuff like that. When it comes to anxiety, like drugs, there's a lot of things that these kids deal with that I feel like we as kids didn't have to deal with. Yeah, you probably got talked about in school. People rib you if you know what I'm saying, if you wore S curl to school and you ain't have enough for the activator because the activator was more than the actual S curl kit. Talking about myself. Or, you might not have the most latest shoes that everybody is wearing right now, like myself. Sometimes sometimes, people would talk about you, but at the same time, that perm or that that S curl might go away. Then all of a sudden, then it becomes you remember when. And people will say, yeah, I remember when that happened, and make a little chuckle, and then they'll go on with their life. But imagine once again, somebody videotaping you, when you not having the best on, when your haircut messed up, when your lining ain't even, all these different things is constantly being reminded over and over again. Imagine how that can make you feel. So I think in some ways, these kids do have a little bit harder than us. I think the difference is we had like a sense of pride and a little bit of more knowledge of self, you know, coming from that era where, being, your grandparents, your mom, your dad were like a part of that baby boom era. My mom, was born in the 60s. My grandparents, they was born like right before, World War II started. And, that was like the hard working era right there. Those were people where they just worked and they picked themselves up by their bootstraps for the most part. They were out there grinding, and there was a sense of pride, and there was a sense of self, and there was a sense of family that you had, and they instilled that kind of stuff inside of you. So I think, like in our era, they kind of taught you about having a sense of pride and a sense of dignity, and not really caring about what people say or defining you by how you're dressed or how you look. It's about your work ethic. It's about how you treat people. It's about how you treat your family. It's about putting your family first. And these are the things that we had. And now this generation that's coming up now, they're our children. But the thing about it was we got exposed to the hard work and dedication, but we also got exposed to technology. We also had experience when it comes to education, right? During those times, it's hard to go to school. But during our era, you had financial aid and you were able to take advantage of some of these practices in order for you to get an education. The value of education became more and more important. Now you're kind of instilling that off into the kids, and now you're trying to navigate and trying to push that certain principle on them, but at the same time they're dealing with this social media, this social media artificial world. And you have to kind of differentiate between what's going on in this world and also being able to maintain the principles that mom and dad, like myself, teaches you. And it's tough. So I just want people to understand it. It's not always easy. But once again, I think that social media sometimes can play a huge role in how we feel inside. I think sometimes we don't know what it is, but sometimes it can be, because no matter how tough your interior is, your exterior is, sometimes you might find yourself looking at what other people are doing and you feel like you're not living that type of life. So you start second guessing yourself and second guessing the decisions that you make. And, that's why it's important for you to kind of, just kind of deplug a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Plug out and try to focus on the things that's important in your actual world. So you can have that confidence and that ability and to be able to go out here and create your own moments and be in the moment. Sometimes we're so quick to try to grab our phone and try to capture a moment that we're not even appreciating the moments that we're actually in. It's good to like just take a moment away from your phone and be in a moment with your family, with your kids, right? With your friends, and just enjoy it and let those moments be intimate for you all, and not just for the whole world to see, for everybody to be like, man, look, I'm on, look what I'm doing right now. I'm doing this and you're not. So that's something that we all can kind of, think about. Thank everybody for being here so far. Appreciate everybody that stopped by, talk a little bit. Feel free to comment. Make sure you subscribe to the Therapy Couch podcast channel if you have not already. Keeping it real says, "What up, TJ? How are things going, my brother? Hope you feel better." Yeah, man, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot stronger. I feel like I'm getting stronger every day. I feel like at first it was hard for me to kind of get my win. Because I guess when you get sick and stuff like that, you had this whole shortness of breath type thing. But now I feel like I'm starting to get myself back to the way that I was, and I'm happy about it. The greatest generation, the silent generation, the baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, millennials, and Generation Z. Look, I just think that when it comes to like the baby boom era, that's the area, of course, right after World War II, when all the soldiers came back home. You know what I'm saying? The baby, you know what I'm saying, when the baby conceiving went up like quadrupled at that time. And so that was like the baby boom era. But like I said, that era was like, it derived from the era where my grandparents, what I'm saying, were from. Right before that World War II, when people was like really working hard. You had people out there in the fields, especially for those that probably had grandparents and great grandparents that grew up in the South. They worked in the fields, right? My grandfather often talks about how he grew up working in the field, picking cotton, picking tobacco, different things in order for them to make money. You have like the era once again of the 50s and the 60s during the civil rights movement. Those people, they worked extremely hard, but they still really didn't have the luxury of being educated as much as we are right now. Like, we have an opportunity to honestly take education for granted. Like, some of us decide to go to college, and some of us be like, I don't think college for me. I think I'm gonna go to the military. I'm gonna go out here into the working field. With the civil rights era, those were the ones that was really on the front lines creating the changes that we take advantage of today. So I just think that when it comes to like the late 70s, the 80s, I even say maybe like the early 90s, I think that generation, who you were brought up by, I think that is the generation that kind of instilled like a level of confidence in us, hard work, not just giving us things, right? Not just giving us stuff just because we asked for it, just so we can get out their face. Like sometimes now, parents, they give their kids anything they want basically because they don't want to be bothered, because maybe they on social media, maybe because they want to be out here in the streets. I don't know. But it's like this era that I feel like I grew up in the 80s, the late 80s. I was born early 90s. I feel like that generation kind of taught us about certain values that I don't feel like are really being taught here today. Um, I think that those values are going away, and it's really causing these kids to second guess themselves, right? Um, Social media is telling you who you are, right? Versus back in the day, nobody told you who you are. You found that out through, living life and finding your own lane. Now it's like, you find yourself watching kids be anything that they feel like is popular, that's going to give them some level of attention where they probably won't be talked about, or they develop a level of popularity, right? In any way, it doesn't matter. Like, they don't mind about looking ridiculous or saying anything or doing anything that makes them look silly, as long as somebody is watching them, as long as somebody is following them, as long as somebody is commenting and sharing what they're doing. You know, if they don't have that, then they feel like their life is worthless, which is far from the truth. It's far from the truth. I feel like anybody that feels that way, they just need to check themselves, man. I don't think that people need to go on social media to find out who they are. I think you need to know who you are before you get there. And I know it's easier said than done when you got millions upon millions of people that are ready to tell you and label you and dismiss you and demean you. But you have to have this level of self in order for you to be able to navigate in today's world. Glad you're feeling better, TJ. Now you sound like the host. Yeah, man. I'm still getting over the COVID thing, but I think I feel a lot better, man. I mean, you get an occasional cough and stuff like that, but just been, drinking a lot of fluids and stuff like that, and I feel a whole lot better. Happy birthday. I appreciate that, man. My birthday was Monday, and it's another day, right? It's another day and another journey. Excited about it, ready to just take on life. Even though, like I said, I feel like there's some things that I want to do and I don't feel like I've done yet. Yeah, and I think that I haven't really been living up to my potential, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I felt the way that I did on my birthday. Sometimes I just want something so badly, what I'm saying? Sometimes I can get a little bit impatient. You ever been like impatient and you wanted something at that particular time, but it just didn't seem like it was the right time? Maybe you're trying to work towards trying to make the thing that you're working towards happen, but it's not happening the way you want to. That's the way that I feel about it. That's the way I've been feeling, and like, so hopefully, I can get over that, and we can get, to a point where I can, feel happy about things that's going on, because I just think that, when people look at like people on social media, or they look at people seem like they going in the right direction, they can get the false sense of reality. A lot of people, you know, don't realize, the work and the effort that a person has to put towards in order for them to, create some things. And sometimes, you know, you can feel like you're not doing enough. And that's just the way that I felt at that particular time. Um, but I appreciate everybody for being here. I hope everybody is having a good week so far. Once again, this is the Therapy Couch Podcast, and I hope that everybody subscribes to the channel. This is a podcast that talks about just life in general. But one thing I am excited about, is one thing I'm excited about is just watching, my son grow. I just was looking at him the other day, and I'm just watching him grow, and he's learning how to spell words, and he has like these cards full of sight words, right? And he's knowing all these words by identifying them, and just watching him grow, and just remembering like where, he started at and where he is now. It's an amazing thing to see. It's amazing thing to see, man, to watch your child grow. And I'm just so glad. I must admit this. I'm so glad that he a boy. I'm serious, man. I was talking to one of my good friends. He has 3 daughters, man. I can only imagine what he has to go through. I don't know what type of father I'd be if I had a girl, man. I don't know, man, because you think about like how the world is right now, and you want to protect your children, and you think about like some of these dudes, and then you think about how your daughter has to navigate through this shark infested waters. To all my people out there that got daughters, man, my goodness, how do y'all do it? Like, how do y'all maintain a level of sanity? Because I can only imagine, like, for the guys out there that got a daughter or daughters, how, you know what I'm saying, protective they gotta be, and how, I don't know, man, how nerve wracking that can possibly be, especially dealing with some of these knuckleheads out here. It just comes down to trusting the Most High, knowing He's in control. Just trust the process of His will and your life. Yeah, I mean, King, that is a very good point. But sometimes we man, we gotta be real, man. Sometimes we're human. You know, we can have all the faith in God as we want to, but still that doesn't stop the human aspect. You know, I used the example a couple episodes ago, and I talked about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane before he got crucified. And I talked about how, you know, Jesus asked God to remove the cup from him, because he knew he was about to go to the cross and he knew this fleshly body was going to hurt. And it wasn't the fact that he didn't realize he had to do this. He knew he had to do it. But the human side of him started to become nervous because he understood the pain that body had to endure. It's not the fact that he didn't have faith. It's the fact that he knew what was going to happen. Sometimes you can be strong. Sometimes you can have that level of confidence, but at the same time, we're all human. We all wonder sometimes, are we doing enough? We all wonder, like, is this all that we're going to be? Am I going in the right direction? No matter how strong your faith actually is, it just the human side of you just coming out. And I guess, at times I do feel that way. Sometimes I do feel like maybe I'm not doing enough, or maybe I'm not as good as I think that I am, or maybe it's just I went as far as I can possibly go. And yeah, I find myself, trying to appreciate the ride, trying to appreciate the levels that I'm getting to. But when you want something so badly and you find yourself working towards it every single time, it can become very frustrating at times when you want something. And it's not so much for yourself, because I say it all the time, man. I ain't trying to walk down the street and want everybody to know me and want to sign autographs. I just want to be able to take care of my family. I just want my family to have somebody that they can be proud of. So my son to one day look at me and be like, "Dad, that's my dad, and I'm proud of him." For my wife to look at me and be like, "That's my husband, I'm proud of him." And when I don't feel like that is who I am, and I have those levels of vulnerability at times, I mean, I do get kind of down, and I do get kind of frustrated, and I do, second guess like some of the things that I'm doing, and wondering, is this the best decision? Or maybe I need to be looking at this particular area right here, because maybe I'm just psyching myself out. I mean, it happens, right? Especially like when you see, like, once again, like when you find yourself, knee deep in social media, and sometimes, and you're looking a little bit too hard, and it can become extremely frustrating. But you just got to continue to plug along, and can believe in yourself, and buy into what you're actually doing, and believe that all the things that you want to achieve are going to happen. Let's see. What's up, my fellow New Orleanian? I had to peep in for a second while I'm at work to show my support. Damien, I appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you stopping by. I went through the woo COVID 2 weeks ago. Nothing to write home about. I'm glad I recovered. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. I think about like some of the people who really have it, and they have to find themselves being hospitalized. I know individuals that passed away, that had it, what I'm saying, a couple months back. But the fact that you can get through it, and my family can get through it, and nobody is seriously hurting or anything like that, I mean, that's a plus. Happy birthday, fellow Who Dat. I appreciate that. Thank you. You know, um, I hope that, like I said, man, I just hope that everybody can find, some of the, saying, some level of closure, some type of solutions through this talk. I try to do this podcast to, like, help people understand, man. I know sometimes, people don't think that other people are going through some of the same things that they're going through. sometimes, you might see somebody and think that they have it all together or they have it all figured out. And maybe it's just me, but I mean, we all have problems. We all have situations. And I think sometimes we be trying to find solutions. It's almost like, when me and my wife first became parents and our son was like doing like certain things, and we're just wondering, like, was it our parenting? And then all of a sudden, like, you'll see a parent or, parents that's around, I don't say around your age, but have kids around your age, and they're talking about some of the same things you're dealing with. You become a little bit more comfortable. Like, man, maybe I thought it was just me, but I guess I ain't alone. So that's that makes you feel a lot better. And once again, that's the whole point of this podcast. Read a few more of these comments. Buster Rhymes had the woo. I heard it was the woo ha woo ha. Got you in the check variant. Yeah, man, Buster Rhymes, man. But that was a good one right there. Let's see. Happy birthday, big homie Hude. And happy birthday, TJ. Hope you enjoy your day, brother, in this Charles. I know I don't get to catch you often. Glad I could. Well, my birthday was on Monday, man. So I appreciate all this birthday love that I'm getting. I appreciate that. TJ, if you don't mind me asking you, but how old are you? Now, I'm 36. I turned 36, man. Good evening, TJ and family. Chemo, man, appreciate you for being here, man. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll just go ahead and put the link down if somebody want to chime in, talk a little bit about their experience or something like that, what's going on. Feel free to do so. And I appreciate that. I'm pretty sure everybody else would appreciate it as well if you have something that you want to talk about. Let's see. Our legal aid has stepped in to protect me from eviction. Well, that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? That's a good thing that they stepped in. It's a good thing that they, what I'm saying, they looking out for you. That can be very nerve wracking. I remember there was a time, you know, I remember when there was a time when I was dealing with that, but it ain't have nothing to do with me having a problem with my next door neighbor. It had a problem with me not paying my rent on time. But we're gonna go to Mike. Mike, how you doing, man?
Hello.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Hi, I just got here, so can you try and fill me on what's been going on this stream?
Well, basically, I'm just talking about whatever you wanted to talk about, man. We just basically just kind of talking about life or some of the things that you might be going through, or how your week going. I mean, anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, so, well, there's this YouTuber that I don't know, like, he's pretty popular on YouTube, I say.
Hmm.
He has tons of subscribers. His name's
Right.
Darman, he makes, like, videos, you know,
Okay.
and he releases videos about he doesn't really, like, talk, he just makes, like, fictional stories.
Hmm.
And one of the messages caught my eye yesterday, where basically it was like, you don't have to like, you don't have to fit in to other people because like what you are is what makes you special. Not like, if for example, like if your friend likes sports and you're into books, that's you. Like, you do you.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
stuff like that.
I mean, it's look. Everybody has like things that they're interested in. I think the worst thing a person can do is try to be something that they're not.
Exactly, man.
I mean, if you're not like into like people ask me all the time, like they know that I do sports, and they always ask me, well, why don't you talk about the Pelicans? I mean, I could, but I wouldn't have the level of passion for talking about the Pelicans as I do about talking about the Saints, because I like
Hmm.
football more than I like basketball. It's not the fact
Same.
that, yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
same here. Like,
right,
I watch basketball and I love basketball. Like,
right,
I like playing basketball. I like watching basketball. It's a fun experience. But football has always been my day one sport. Like,
right,
whenever someone asked me what sport you want to play, it was always football.
right.
I said, like, I just got into basketball. I want to say 2 years ago, maybe
Hmm.
three. It depends on where I was at the time. But yeah, basically football. It's always been my day one sport ever since I want to say 2018.
Hmm.
Ever since that,
Right.
like, because when I started off my life, when I started controlling my body, man, like I was never a sports guy. I
Right.
always I liked stuff that some girls like too. Like that's
Yeah.
just who I was. But then over time, I just developed into a sports guy, and now every single time I have a conversation with a person, sports is probably always what I talk about. Like when I
Hmm.
talk to my friends, most of the time I talk to sports. Like when I go home every day, the first thing I do is hop on Madden and see anything to do with sports on YouTube and stuff like that because everything that my life involves around is sports, movies. In fact, I just got a cool book like a couple days ago,
Hmm.
basically about like it was like a magazine of sports, and
Hmm.
Alvin Kamara is actually on the cover,
Right.
and so what I do what I do for a living, man, like when I grow up I want to be like a sports analyzer or it's gonna probably be something to do with sports because that's my passion. Like
Right.
you don't have to follow someone else's passion and think you can be cooler because a lot of people who go that route end up not being successful because they don't know what they're doing. Like they
Yeah.
all they know is that okay, this person was successful at doing it, so I think I am surely gonna be successful. But that's not always the case, man. Like there's been a lot of football players over the time that hasn't been successful because they didn't have the passion of football.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like like you just don't just because you pick a career does not mean it's always going to be successful. You have a 50-50 shot in this world. Like you can end up growing up to be a billionaire, you can end up growing up to be a broke person on the street. Like life is so unpredictable.
Yeah. That's why it's important for you to pick something that you're passionate about. I mean, but it comes with time. Some people may start off and feel like they're passionate about something or getting started, and then all of a sudden they realize it's not really their passion. It's not. You should never be afraid to try certain things. I
Hmm.
just think that when you start trying different things, and all of a sudden, you might find something that sticks. Is something that you really love. I mean, the thrill of the chase, like, you talk about with sports, like looking at different articles or, looking at different
Hmm.
shows that talk about sports. Or when,
Yep.
what I'm saying, when you hear people talking about sports, you find yourself trying to get a little bit closer so you can add in a little bit of information or something.
Like
That's
that's
passion.
how I was at the time. Like,
Yeah.
cause when I started getting into sports, I did my homework, man. Like I researched, like I go on YouTube and watch some highlights of games. There's this YouTube channel called NFL Throwback where
Uh-huh.
some random times like before a game
Right.
they always look at this like historic game and
Right.
like one time there was this game. I think it was the Bengals and the Dolphins, like in the early 2010s, like 2011 to 2012.
Right.
And not a lot of people knew, like not a lot of people when a game ends in overtime, right? People
Uh-huh.
are like, then it's probably a game-winning touchdown or field goal. No one imagines a game-winning safety, but that's what happened in the game. Like a lot of people don't look as a safety as an important play, really, but that's what won them the game. So that's how ever since that day I've held on to it in my brain. Like that's what I am, man. I'm a sports analyzer. Every single time, you know, every single time something about sports get into my head. Like I'm more of a football basketball guy. Sometimes I'll do some soccer. Sometimes I'll do volleyball. I'm not really into baseball and hockey, but sometimes I'll play baseball. I'm just not a big hockey fan. But like basically football and basketball are my one two sports. Like if football and basketball wasn't a thing in this world, who knows what we would be doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got some people out there that's really passionate about hockey and baseball too. But I mean, not to discredit anybody from the South, but more people like from the northern area or the Midwest, they seem to like to be extremely like passionate about hockey, and maybe it's because in the South football reigns supreme, basketball reigns supreme. Like, you don't
Mhm.
really those are the sports that people really try hard to play, and that's what places like Louisiana and
Exactly, man.
Georgia and Florida. That's what people like that mostly do. They try to get themselves
Exactly.
going to some of these SEC schools and and going to the NFL. But Mike,
Exactly.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, man, because
Alright.
we're actually about to wrap up because we're gonna switch it over to do some talk about some sports, man. So hopefully, you'll be back to listen to
I
the
start
sports
school
podcast.
I start school tomorrow, so I'm probably gonna go to bed early. So
Okay, well, when you get a
because I
chance,
gotta
man.
get up around 7 o'clock tomorrow. Yes,
Okay.
school. Yes, I gotta go back to school. Never mind. I'm getting back. I'm getting up at 6. Never mind.
All right, well, that's your mom.
Yes.
Okay, well, tell her we say hello here, and make sure that you go to sleep on time so you can get up, man. Good luck
Exactly.
on your first day.
Yeah, and because I'm starting a new school, and also I'm probably about to go to bed right now because in the
Okay,
morning someone's coming here, so we can also drop them off at the bus stop. New
okay.
person, I never met her, but
Well, good luck on your first day of school, man, and
yep.
make sure you chime in next week so we can talk a little bit about your first day, man, how it was for you. All right,
All right.
all right. Have a good night, man.
Good night. Bye.
Bye bye, man. Shouts out to Mike, man. He on his way to school, man. But yeah, I mean, man, first day of school. I mean, I can remember those days, man. I didn't catch like a school bus or anything like that. If you like from New Orleans, man, most of the time you know that you catch like public transportation, or you might be fortunate enough to live pretty close to to the school. You'll be able to walk there, and then as you walk in, you might have some friends that's coming out their neighborhoods and stuff like that. And then the next thing you know, you got a whole mob of kids headed towards the school. Those were the days right there, man. The first day of school. I hate to do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and end this show because we're gonna be talking a little bit about the NFL. We're gonna get back to the State of the Saints podcast. So I see Josh here, I see Charles. So anything that you guys have to say, make sure that you chime in. We're gonna be taking calls on the SOTS podcast. So we're gonna go ahead and switch gears. Thank y'all for checking out the Therapy Couch podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, which is youtube.com. Search Therapy Couch podcast. So for those that are around here that's wanting to talk a little bit about the New Orleans Saints, keep it locked right here. State of the Saints podcast on the way. Till next time, be happy and be healthy. Peace.